I haven't checked my main business email inbox in over 3 years, and yet in that time, my business has scaled to over £1 million in revenue. I've been able to travel the world, and I only go into my inbox now when I choose to, not when I have to. And that's all down to one hack, which is the one inbox rule. And this 10K a month hack literally freed me from the chaos of running a business. It allowed me to scale to the revenue numbers that I never thought I'd be able to hit. And I've been able to implement this into my business simply and into my clients' businesses so that they can run the business in the way that they want to rather than having to be pulled in every different direction. So let me dive into exactly how this works. And firstly, let me tell you about this problem that became the need for this solution that I've come to. And that was because on Friday night, it was a Friday afternoon, about 5 p.m., I went into my main email inbox and I checked to see an email from 4 different suppliers that had come in around the same time. And they were all telling me that they could no longer supply me. And I read this in my main inbox, 5 p.m. on a Friday, and I had to live with this dread and this feeling of the pit of my stomach that all of the hard work I'd done to build my e-commerce business was coming crashing down because my suppliers were dropping me. And that was because it was me that was responsible for reading and responding to every email in that inbox. And I read it at the start of the weekend, at Friday at 5 o'clock. So it stayed with me all weekend, and I couldn't release that feeling of dread because I couldn't do anything about it because they wouldn't reopen again until Monday. And what I realized from that day on, I could no longer be the person that was responsible for reading and seeing every email because it was completely transforming the way that I would view running my business, how I'd feel it so personally. Because I could fix that issue. I could get them working back with me on Monday. It was a simple error that I could fix, and they were working with me again. By the end of the day, Monday, they'd all turned around and said to me that they could work with me again. So I realized that the problem wasn't how quick I could get to emails. The problem was that I didn't have a system that removed me from seeing all these emails at the wrong time. It was a horrible weekend, but I learned this and now I implement it into my clients' businesses. And I've created resource packs to share with you in videos like this. And if you send me a message on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, I will send you over the resources that I'm going to share in this video today. So first of all, we need to articulate the problem because most e-commerce business owners need this solution, but they often don't realize how important it is until it's too late, until they have a situation like the one I've just described, where they feel it so personally in their inbox. But most new e-com owners, Shopify store owners, what they have early on when they're building their business, they're getting themselves off the ground to the first 10K revenue months. They're the ones that are so active in the email inbox. They're the ones that are reading and seeing all live chat messages. They're the people that are seeing the phone calls come in. These people and new e-com owners, this is me just a few years ago. I was responsible for everything. I was seeing everything come into my business. And because it's all you, what we have is our main email address. So it'll be info at whatever your domain is. You'll have that, or words to that effect. You'll have your main inbox and maybe a different alias, but you'll have that and you'll be the one that's responsible for answering all of those questions. So that's the one that you advertise on your website. That's the one that your customers will contact you for. And therefore you're seeing everything that's coming into your business. And I thought this is what a founder had to do. And I waited far too long to change, but I knew I had to change. And to give you an idea of why it's so important to change, if I was a pilot of a very, very poorly drawn airplane here, but I'm going to draw this so that it sticks with you. If I'm in the cockpit here of the business and the plane, flying the plane represents running your business, if you're in the cockpit there, at some point you need to leave the cockpit to eat, go to the bathroom, whatever it is on a long haul flight. At some point you have to hand over the controls to your co-pilot. And when you walk out of that room, out of the cockpit as the pilot, and you give the controls to your co-pilot, you're not abandoning the flight, you're not abandoning your business. You're handing over the controls to someone that you trust and can take over. And it means that you can freshen up and come back refreshed and make sure you're operating at the best possible mindset to build your business. It's the exact same. You're not abandoning your flight, you're not abandoning your business. Getting help, implementing this one inbox rule, which I'm about to go through, is what allows you to scale. So now I'm going to walk you through the one inbox rule now to literally change the business, and not just change your business, transform your mindset. So 3 steps, super simple to implement this. The first step is to hire a VA. If you don't have a virtual assistant already, you are missing out when it comes to running an e-commerce business, but you need to have somebody on board. I can send you across a hiring toolkit. If you need help with that, just send me a message on Instagram. But we need to hire a VA that's going to be able to take over your inbox and take over your customer service. So find a customer service trained virtual assistant that wants to work remote for your business. I hire from the Philippines for various reasons, but hire somebody that can work as a virtual assistant. Step 2 is SOPs, so standard operating procedures or processes. Have processes in place for how you like your business to be run, how you like your emails to be responded to. Have some templates ready for them to go, so when they come on board, they can quickly get up to speed. And the third step, you've got a VA, you've got processes for them to follow. Step 3 is to create a new user, which means you get a new inbox. So I use Google Workspace. This will be available in other devices, other systems as well. But in Google Workspace, you go into your admin console in Google and you create a new user for you. So you've got the main user profile already, your info at your store-wide user. We're going to create a new one and call it your name at yourdomain.co.uk. And that means when you've got a new user within your Google Workspace account, you'll then have access to a new inbox. You'll have access to a new Google Workspace user, which means you get all of the same tools again under the same umbrella of your business, but you get a new inbox, you get a new Google chat profile. Everything's new in Google. It's a whole new ecosystem, which means that you just look after your inbox and you've now outsourced the main customer service inbox to your virtual assistant. So you can step back from being involved in seeing all of the customer emails and you just respond to the ones that get escalated to you. And so over time, your VA will handle more and more and more, escalate less and less and less, to the point where you only need to check your inbox for the really important things that they can't sort on their own. And that will be very minimal. And this is the way. It's just the rule that there was a simple hack that I had to do. And suddenly, when I had that headspace, I was able to triple my revenue within the first 2 months. And not just the money side of things, just the headspace that it gave me to not be constantly on call and looking at the emails was the biggest perk. Now, I've implemented this into my clients' businesses, and something that I want to highlight for you is the headspace this really creates is as soon as I was able to implement this for my client and they had VAs on board that can handle everything, they realize that now when they receive orders, and they're receiving orders now over £10,000 in orders, and this is why it's a 10K hat beyond, they receive this order. The first VA number 1, is handling the customer service, so it's responding to all the questions, nurturing them, giving them the right links to order the right products. And then when the order comes in, VA 2 is responsible for fulfilling the order, contacting the supplier, getting the stock to the customer. And then our founder doesn't get involved in anything apart from picking up the check at the end of the month to realize how much their business has generated. So this is literally not just a money-making machine, but it's a time-making machine, which is perhaps more important to us as founders. So if you want your business to feel like you're an owner rather than just being an employee and then giving yourself a new job, then we need to implement these systems. We need to hire the right people. We need to have systems in place so that you can be removed from the day-to-day running of your business and you can live your life how you want it to live. It's how I've been able to travel the world, live across Southeast Asia and Europe, and spending some time in the UK when I'm back here to catch up with family. It allows me to have this lifestyle because first and foremost, I've got a business that works for me rather than me working for the business all the time. So with that said, if you'd like to chat with me about how to implement this into your business, feel free to follow me on Instagram. I'll send you all the resources and help you out through this process. And with that said, I'll catch you in the next video.